According to authorities in Leesburg, Florida, 25-year-old Randy Rhoads, the lead guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne's group, was killed at about 10:30 this morning in a light airplane crash along with two other people. Authorities say the plane crashed after it hit a house. They were reportedly buzzing with the aircraft. The plane also clipped a tree and then burst into flames. The two other people killed in the crash were 36-year-old Andrew A. Cox, according to Lake County Sheriff's Department, who was identified as the pilot of the plane, and 58-year-old Rachel Youngblood, reportedly the group's hairdresser. The Lake County Deputy Sheriff Michael Smalt says that Ozzy Osbourne and several other members of the band were in the vicinity of this. This is not entirely clear at this point exactly what happened. According to an item I just came across via some people in Orlando from the Associated Press, the plane was buzzing a house, evidently, and then it clipped a tree, and then apparently a van. I believe the AP item said that Ozzy Osbourne and other members of the band were riding in a van when it was clipped by the plane. Evidently, immediately after that, from what I know, it then burst into flames shortly thereafter. So Ozzy is okay, so are the rest of the members of the band. Once again, according to authorities in Leesburg, Florida, 25-year-old Randy Rhoads, the lead guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne's group, was killed this morning at about 10:30 in a plane crash along with two other people. Ozzy Osbourne and other members of the group reportedly were not injured. And when we get more information on this, we will certainly pass it along to you right away. In the meantime, I'm Michael Del Calieno on 105 WAVA.
Another woman were the known victims. Now, the van that the plane's wing clipped contained Ozzy Osbourne. He was in the van, but he escaped injury. There were several other members of the band in the mansion, but they got out before it was destroyed by gasoline. That fire started, of course, by the plane. And we have on the telephone Jerry Thompson, who's a representative of Epic Records, and you are the folks that handle Jet Records, which is Ozzy's label, and I'm sure it's not a very pleasant day around there today.
Well, it's not a pleasant day, Chuck, to say the least. Shame that this occurrence took place. I mean, we've all been hearing all along how Ozzy has been doing in his tour and his certain deeds, which he has been doing also. But the news this morning of other people who were in the plane, besides Randy Rhoads, were the bus driver of their tour bus, who has his pilot's license, and a personal valet attached to the band, and a dear friend of the Arden family. Don Arden, who owns Jet Records, was a personal valet to this. And apparently this was strictly a joyride.
That's the way it sounds, and it sounds like it was around the place where they were staying. Let me ask you, if you know of any details. The next question that people are obviously asking is, what about Wednesday night's concert down at the Capitol Center?
I have no direct word from Cellar Door Productions. I would say at this point in time, the show could be in jeopardy. Randy was an integral part of the band, and it's hard to say exactly what, if would go on or not.
It's not exactly the first thing, I guess, that people start to think about as far as...
There's been a lot of concern about this incident, calls coming from all over. I have been taking calls now for about the past hour just concerning this, and it's of major importance. Randy, of course, is known as a very functional part of the band, and his side work, his credits are quite lengthy. Session work is quite known.
Well, Jerry, we appreciate you adding what you know, particularly about the tour, and I guess we'll just wait to hear from Cellar Door.
Okay, Chuck, thank you.
And thanks for taking the time to talk to us about this. Again, Randy Rhoads, the lead guitarist of Ozzy Osbourne's band, killed in a plane crash today when what sounds like a very bizarre incident. The plane buzzed the mansion where the band was staying, clipped a van, then a tree, then crashed into the house. Ozzy Osbourne was in the van that one of the plane's wings clipped, but he did escape uninjured. And that's what we have so far.
Story. Earlier this afternoon, DC 101 announced that Randy Rhoads, the guitarist with Ozzy Osbourne's band, was killed in a plane crash. It's a pretty strange affair. What happened was they had rented a plane crash. They took a plane for a joyride. He and the bus driver for the band and a personal valet. It apparently was buzzing a van that Ozzy was in. They were flying around trying to buzz the van. They crashed into the van. and into a house in Leesburg, which is near Orlando, Florida, and it killed all the 3 guys on board. However, Ozzy Osbourne was not involved. He was not injured. And the van was destroyed, apparently, and so was the house. So it was a real messy affair. Randy Rhoads played with Ozzy on both of the records, and we'll have to wait for more information concerning the fate of the Ozzy tour. We'll let you know about it.
Guitarist Randy Rhoads.
Thank you, sir. This from the Associated Press, Justin Lewis, the lead guitarist, as we just said about 15 or 20 minutes ago, of the rock group led by Ozzy Osbourne, was killed in a plane crash this morning in Leesburg, Florida. Leesburg, incidentally, is about 35 miles northwest of the city of Orlando. Authorities say 25-year-old Randy Rhoads, Ozzy's lead guitarist, 2 other people died in that plane crash in which they were buzzing a mansion. The plane clipped a van and a tree and then crashed into the house in flames. Lake County Sheriff's Office officials say the plane's pilot and another woman are the other victims. Incidentally, the names of those victims are 36-year-old Andrew Acox, who authorities identified as the pilot of the plane, and also 58-year-old Rachel Youngblood, we understand the group's hairdresser. In addition to that, Ozzy Osbourne himself was in the van when one of the plane's wings clipped it, but Ozzy escaped injury, we understand. Several other members of the band were in the 2-story colonial house, but fled before the structure was gutted by flaming gasoline. The group was staying at that house before a concert in Leesburg. Now, in addition to that, we have been in touch with WFTV Television in Orlando. They have just they had sent a film crew out to the location about an hour ago. We expect to be in touch with them in about 15 minutes, and we will probably have more details for you. So once again, Randy Rhoads, the 25-year-old lead guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne's group, was killed in a plane crash this morning along with 2 other people, and that happened in Leesburg, Florida. That's according to authorities down there in Leesburg. Ozzy Osbourne, we understand, escaped injury as well as other members of the group. Ozzy is okay, but unfortunately, another sad, sad incident today. 25-year-old Randy Rhoads is dead today. As soon as we get more information on this tough story, we will pass it along to you immediately. I'm Michael Del Calieno on 105 WABA.
We knew this Randy Rhoads, guitar player, lead guitar player for Ozzy Osbourne's band, was killed earlier today in a private plane crash. Ozzy was not hurt, was not injured during the crash. He wasn't even in the plane. Randy Rhoads, great guitar player, won a number of awards and has been with Ozzy for both of his albums and on his tours also. We'll keep you posted on information if we get any concerning the Ozzy concert next week at the Capitol Center.
Randy Rhoads' death.
Thank you, sir. To recap very briefly here, 25-year-old Randy Rhoads, Ozzy Osbourne's lead guitarist, was killed today along with 2 other people in a plane crash in Leesburg, Florida. Apparently, the airplane carrying Randy Rhoads was buzzing the group's tour bus. The plane's wing clipped the bus. As a matter of fact, it actually popped a window right out of the bus. The aircraft careened off the bus and went right into a house next to the tour bus, and the plane, they tell me, just disintegrated while consuming the house in flames. Aside from Randy Rhoads, the 2 other people killed in the crash were 36-year-old Andrew Acox, who authorities identified as the pilot of the plane, and also 58-year-old Rachel Youngblood, the group's hairdresser. We are still not sure if Ozzy Osbourne was on the tour bus, but according to our sources in Orlando, Florida at WFTV Television, members of the group were on the tour bus when the plane was struck. Or rather, when the plane struck the bus, I should say. Incidentally, Ozzy is okay. And the promoter for tomorrow night's show at the Tangerine Bowl in Orlando says the show will go on as scheduled. That's what they're telling us, at least about tomorrow night's show in Orlando. Once again, Randy Rhoads, 25-year-old lead guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne, was killed today along with 2 other people in a plane crash in Leesburg, Florida. Ozzy Osbourne is okay. He was not hurt in the crash. Apparently, the airplane carrying Randy Rhoads was buzzing the group's tour bus. The plane's wing clipped the bus. The aircraft went right into a house next to the bus. The plane disintegrated while consuming the house in flames. And our sources in Orlando tell us the promoter for tomorrow night's show at the Tangerine Bowl in Orlando says the show will go on. As soon as we get more information, we'll get right back to you.
Randy Rhoads, the guitar player for Ozzy Osbourne's band, he died this afternoon along with a bus driver for the band and also a personal valet for the band in a plane crash, a rather unusual plane crash. They'd apparently rented a plane and were out flying in an Apache, a single-engine Apache, buzzing a van that Ozzy Osbourne was apparently in. And apparently a wingtip hit the van and then crashed into a house. The The plane crashed into a house. However, Ozzy Osbourne was not hurt. He is in good shape. Randy Rhoads, guitar player for the band for several years, was killed.